record this. How much we need to withhold from paychecks for Social Security and Medicare tax purposes. But now, once we have done that withholding, what do we do with the money? Right? As the employer, we've got responsibilities for remitting those funds to the proper authorities in time, or on time, as well as reporting. How do we do that reporting? So we're going to talk about and look at what the schedule is for deposits. We've got kind of two different schedules that we're working with here. We have schedules for depositing the funds, and then we have schedules for reporting the funds. Okay, so we're gonna dive into what those two schedules are, and I will tell you that the schedules for depositing are more complex than the schedules for reporting. But once we've looked at those schedules, now we need to look at how that reporting is done, how to fill out the form that needs to be submitted to the IRS to report those taxes that have been withheld. So we're going to go through and take a look at the 941. I doubt that we'll have enough time today to go through everything I want to do with looking at that 941. So we'll have time as well on Thursday to do that, to continue with that before we do our midterm review. I also have a practice quiz for you, end of chapter practice quiz for you guys to work on a little bit with your groups. Okay, so any questions before we get started? Nope. All right, so let's take a look at the problems that we worked on. Actually, maybe, I wonder if this would make more sense than using the whiteboard. Eee. You all have copies of this anyway, so focus. No? All right. There we go. All right, so first one here. Mary earns $50,000 in wages during 2023. Calculate her Social Security and Medicare taxes. Easy peasy, right? She's not reaching any wage base. There's no additional Medicare tax that we have to calculate because she's well under the 200,000. She's nowhere near 160,200, right? So all you do there is, what's the calculation? Anybody? Mumble, mumble, mumble. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna take the 50,000 times 6.2%. So this is her OASDI. Right? And this, I should have put down here this is the withholding. Okay. So not the total amounts. And then her Medicare part portion, again, 50,000 times, what's the tax rate? 1.45%. Right. And then just calculate that out. So I actually have a calculator this time. So what did you guys get? You can.
For Social Security, got 3,100.
3,100?
And for Medicare, got 725.
How much?
725.
725? All right. Times 0.0145. 725, right? And then the employer would pay an equal amount of both of those taxes as well. All right, so now we get a little bit more complex. Am I still on the screen here? With John. John earns $170,000 in wages in 2023. Calculate his Social Security and Medicare taxes. All right, so how much of his wages are subject to Social Security or OASDI?
2060 to 300.
Right. So he does reach that wage base here. He is over the wage base of 160,200. So the maximum amount that he is going to be subject to, or of that base, is going to be 160,200. What about Medicare? How much of that is taxable? And remember, we've got our base, right, times our rate equals our tax. All of it. So 170. So for Medicare purposes, the base is 170,000. For Social Security purposes, the base is 160. See, 200 times, whoops. 0.62. So 99,3240, which is the maximum amount for 2023 that anybody is going to pay on Social Security taxes, any individual. And then 170 would we get for the 2465. That's what I get too. All right, perfect. All right, Sarah, 125,000. We're just going to do the same thing as we did with Mary, right? The entire amount is going to be subject to Social Security and Medicare tax. So 125,000. This is for OASDI and Medicare. The entire amount as well. So, whoops, times 6.2% times 1.45%. What'd you guys get for those?
Social Security got 7750.
7750. Sounds good. 1812.50.
Yeah.
All right, 1812.50. All right, Carlos gets a little bit more complex here. Whoops, sorry. Let's see if I can make that any brighter. That's pretty dark. Not much, but okay. So Carlos earns $300,000 in wages in 2023. Calculate his Social Security, Medicare, and additional Medicare taxes. All right, well, let's start with the Social Security. How much of his wages are going to be subject to Social Security? 160,200 times 6.2%, which we've already got up there, 99,3240. What about Medicare? Regular Medicare?
All of it.
All of it, right. 300,000 times 1.45%. What'd you guys get for that?
4350.
4350?
Yep.
I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, now we get to the additional Medicare. How much of his wages are subject to additional Medicare tax? 100,000. Exactly. That is the full 300,000 minus the first 200,000, which are exempt from that additional Medicare tax. Right? What's our tax rate? Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit, can get a little bit tricky. That 0.9%, which is you're going to multiply it by 0.009, right? Okay, and what'd you get for that? 900 exactly. I guess I could have done that in my head. 900, right?
And that 0.9 is only to the individual, the employer doesn't pay the extra, or do they?
Nope,
pay the
this
extra?
is only the individual, exactly. So only these two taxes will the employer match.
Okay, so they still pay the full 300, they just don't pay
Yep.
the extra.
Right. Right. So this is the only portion that is only assessed to the employee. All right. Now we got Kathy. Kathy earned 200,000. So OASDI How much? What's our base?
The 162.
And then regular Medicare tax,
All of it.
all of it, times 1.45%. So that's, what is that?
2,900.
How much?
2,900.
2,900. How about any additional?
Nope.
Yep, that is correct. 0. So she's not gonna pay any additional there. I just read today that one of the proposals that Kamala Harris had was to increase this percentage, this 0.9%. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, what they were aiming for. Has anybody heard anything about that? I just,
So you can probably look it up somewhere.
yeah, probably some information box that somebody has if you want to look it up. That, and then what's also called the net investment income tax was another one that they were talking about increasing. All right, Dylan earned $160,200. So was OASDI. Poor Dylan. Got there but didn't get over. I guess we shouldn't feel too bad for him. Of course, depending upon where he's living, that could be just a survivable wage. And then Medicare, max, right? 5%. You guys can do the math. I'm not going to spend time doing that. All right. Now these, Amanda is married filing jointly. That's just information you don't need at this point. Makes no difference. It will make a difference next chapter. Okay? When we start talking about income tax withholding, we will care about what their filing status is. Okay? But for our purposes for this chapter, we don't need to know that information. So that was just thrown in there to throw you off. All right, married filing jointly earned $280,000 during 2023. Calculate Social Security, Medicare, and additional Medicare taxes. So OASDI,
162.
160. Yeah, I see a pattern here. Did I remember that right? Medicare, how much?
All of it.
All of it. Times 1.45%. And then additional Medicare.
80,000.
80,000 exactly. Times 0.9%. I will tell you, so when I say it doesn't matter to the employer when they're calculating additional Medicare tax or anything having to do with Social Security or Medicare tax. However, and this is just a little extra, no extra charge for this information. You'll find this out when you take income tax accounting. That additional Medicare tax actually is applied based on filing status when you do the tax return. So it's entirely possible that Amanda will have overpaid on those additional Medicare taxes, that it was over withheld. And what happens is when she files her tax return, then that is going to reconcile on that tax return. She's going to get a refund for the overpayment. Because actually, for married filing jointly, the maximum amount is $250,000 per tax return. So it's entirely possible then for married filing jointly individuals who are making that kind of income to have overpaid that amount, and it will reconcile. That's not your concern as payroll accountants. That's the concern of the individual when they file their tax return, right? For us as payroll accountants, at $200,000, we have to start withholding, right? Okay. Just a little extra, no extra charge for that, by the way. All right, so here's Brad. Brad, again, he's single. We don't care if he's single. I don't know, maybe Brad cares that he's single, but we don't care that he's single. So $500,000, although that income level,
I don't think he cares that he's single.
you don't care. I'm gonna say at that income level, maybe he won't be single for long.
I think at that income level, he's single by choice.
He's avoiding something.
Brad may have some additional personal issues that he's dealing with. Okay, so calculate his Social Security, Medicare tax, and additional Medicare tax. And then I asked you to do a little bit of extra work here. So, OASDI, again, that maxes out at the $160,200, right? I'm gonna run out of space here. Medicare, all of it. Excuse me, I'm still a little scratchy, so. I had absolutely no voice for 2 days. None. My kids loved it. I couldn't yell at them.
You just have to catch up on all of it.
I think so. How much is going to be subject to additional Medicare tax? 300,000, right? Times 0.09. Well, times 0.9%. All right. You guys see that? All right, so I had asked you if he's paid monthly, the 1st and the 15th, when did he reach the OASDI wage base? And when did he reach the additional Medicare tax threshold? Because obviously he didn't start the year at those levels, right? If he's paid, because he's making $500,000 a year and he's paid monthly, so we divide that by 12 to figure out what he's paid every month. He's not going to reach those levels in that first month. But at some point during the year, he's going to reach that $160,200 wage base. And at some point during the year, he's going to reach that $200,000 level, right? So, how do you think we should, how would you calculate this?
Usually it's paid monthly.
So he's paid monthly.
Divide the 500 by 12.
All right, so let's divide the 500 divided by 12. 12 months. So this is how much he makes on a monthly basis, which comes out to $41,666.67 per month.
Divide the max, so that 160, 200, or the 200,000 by pay period payment.
Yep.
And then you see how many pay periods until when he starts paying.
Exactly. All right, so what you're gonna do is take the wage base that you're calculating. So for this OASDI, we're gonna divide it by his monthly amount of pay. So per pay period, so 41,666.67. All right. What'd you guys get?
I think you go first.
All right, so 60,200 divided by 41,666.67. 3.84 or 3.85. So at the 3.85 fifth pay period, you round it to the next pay period. Okay, so whatever the number, even if it's 3.1, you round it to the next pay period. Okay, so this means that during the fourth pay period, he reaches that 160,200. So during that pay period, that's when they're going to have to do the calculation to figure out how much is subject to Social Security tax, how much is not subject to Social Security tax. Does that make sense? So you've got to first figure out how much per pay, right? Oh wait, how much, let's see, I said monthly Oh, why did I say 1st and 15th? Because I wasn't thinking 1st of every month. So that April 1st paycheck is when he is going to reach that 160,200. So if we do the same thing for, what are we at here? The 200,000 divided by 41,66667. Sorry, I'm running out of room here. So 4.8. So on the 5th pay period, they're going to start have to take out that additional Medicare tax. So on May 1st. That makes sense? I mean, think about it. So in January, I need extra space here. If we think in January, 41,66667, February, March, April, May, same amount, same amount, same amount, same amount. If we look at his cumulative amounts here, so 41,66667 times 2, so he would be at 83,33334, and then in March we're going to add another 41,666. Whoops. 83,33334 plus 41,66667. Now he's at 125,001, and we add another 41,66667. Now he's at 166,66668. So this is when he reaches, we said April was when he was going to reach that 160,200, which he did. Then we add the additional 41,66667. Now we're at 208,33335 again. Then he reached that 200,000 mark in May. Okay? All right. Let's do the same thing for time. Okay. Let's do the same thing for Jane. So married filing jointly. Again, we don't care. She earned 250,000 Social Security, Medicare, and additional Medicare taxes. So we can do all that. We already know 160,200 for Social Security, 200,000 for that and above for, well, 250,000 for Medicare tax, and then $50,000 is going to be subject to that additional Medicare tax. So we've got that down. Let's do the calculation here. Now she's paid semi-monthly, twice a month. So in this case, we're not going to divide by 12, are we? We're going to divide by 24, exactly, to see how much she makes per pay. So 250 divided by 24. So she makes $10,416.67 per pay. All right. Then, again, we're going to take the 160,200. Can we still see this? Divided by 10,416.67. And I get 15.38, so the 16th pay. Now, obviously, she's on a semi-monthly basis, right? So the 16th pay, paid twice a month, is gonna fall in August, right?
August 30th.
Right, August, yes, because she's paid on the 15th and the 30th. So that second August paycheck is when she's gonna reach that 160,200. That make sense, everybody? Okay. And then the 200,000 divided by the same number is is 19.2. So on the 19th pay, now we have to think about this. You get, oh, I'm sorry, the 20th pay, you're right. 20th pay, because we're rounding up. So obviously that's October, so we divide that by 2. And the second pay in October, so again, the 15th, or I'm sorry, the 30th of October. Questions? Make sense? Okay. I do believe if you haven't already encountered it, you do have a homework question that is similar to that. So I wanted to go through those. Let's see, is there anything else here? We won't worry about Alex because that's pretty simple. Mike, though, so he had wages and he had self-employment income. All right. So calculate his Social Security and Medicare tax, and we'll say this is from wages. So it's W-2. And his self-employment taxes. So this is only the self-employment amount. So wages, how much of those wages are going to be subject to OASDI and Medicare?
All of it.
All of it. 90 times 6.2%, and for Medicare, 90 times 1.45%. All right, you can do the math on that. So self-employment taxes. How much of the $60,000 is going to be subject to Social Security tax? All of it. What's our tax rate though? 12.4%, right? So it's double what the W-2 rate is, or the wages rate. And then for Medicare tax, how much is going to be? Right.
For all of it.
Yeah, 60,000 times 2.9%. Right. I'm not going to spend time doing the calculations. You guys can do that. All right, now we've got Rachel. Rachel earned $180,000 in wages and had $80,000 in self-employment income. Calculate Social Security, Medicare, and additional Medicare taxes, if applicable. Well, I didn't phrase that right, did I? Let's do and self-employment taxes. I have to add that in there, sorry. So let's do these together. Let's do the wages separately first. How much of the wages is going to be subject to Social Security tax? 160, 200. Right, times 6.2%. How much of the wages is going to be subject to Medicare tax? All of it. All right, now it gets fun. How much of the $80,000 is going to be subject to OASDI, Social Security? Right. 0. All right. How much of the self-employment is going to be subject to Medicare tax? All of it. What's the tax rate? 2.9%, right? All right, now we get kind of fun. How much of the $80,000 is going to be subject to additional Medicare tax? $60,000. Why is that?
That's all that's over 200.
Right. She's got $180,000 from her wages. Only an additional $20,000 gets her up to the $200,000 mark. So the amount over and above $200,000 would be $60,000. And what's the rate? 0.9%, right? We're not going to double this because remember the employer doesn't pay the second half or the another half. It's only the employee, so she's also in this case has self-employment income. She's going to pay that. All right, questions? No? All right, cool. let's move on then, shall we? Get this down here.